my chest growth from arm training. What the heck is going on here? Look at my physique a year ago. Specifically, note the state of the pectoral muscularity. Okay, fast forward 1 year to present day. This is what my physique looks like now, and the pecs have grown a substantial amount from only training arms over the past year. How is this possible, and how is this potentially beneficial or useful to you? I'm going to get into detail to explain all of it. Cheers. That was a hefty load. I wasn't really paying attention. That was like at least 2 shots worth. First off, from an anatomical standpoint, only doing the triceps dumbbell behind the head extension activates the chest in a stretched, lengthened range of motion. Understanding the function of the pec muscle to be bringing your arms across your body to the midline. Primary function. Additional function, taking your arms from up overhead and bringing them back down this way. The motion of a dumbbell pullover. Those are the primary functions of your chest. If we take this knowledge and apply it to the dumbbell triceps extension behind the head, we can see that as a stabilizer in a lengthened stretch position, the pec is receiving substantial stimulation if executed correctly. The cues that I use over the past year to facilitate this execution is 1, letting my elbows drift as far back behind my head as possible, accentuating the degree of stretch tension putting on the pec, because I'm doing the opposite of the function to bring your elbows down. That's putting the chest in a more lengthened stretch position. Number 2, focusing on scooping my elbows in, pointing them inward or directly in front of me into the mirror instead of out to the side. As I explained before, primary function of the chest is to bring your arms this way, okay? If I bend my elbows and I do that again, that's this. If I put my elbows up overhead, that's this. That's the same movement, creating some activation. So when I go to do this exercise, I've noticed that if I focus on keeping my shoulders down, letting my elbows drift back, getting a deep, good stretch, and then keeping them scooped in as I extend upward, I am able to stimulate some chest growth. At this point, you may be asking, Matt, why don't you just do some dumbbell bench press or some flies, okay? It's not by choice. If you're new to the channel here, I've had a number of muscle imbalances stemming from an old ankle injury many years ago, and I've made previous videos detailing the whole process from an anatomical and historical context of my experiences that explain what happened. I'm not going to go into that detail here. You can click the link in the description. It'll take you through it. The thing to take away is that due to injuries and issues, I'm unable to train my chest with direct chest exercises that contract the pec muscle and shorten it. Through this tricep exercise, I'm able to get some stimulus of the pec muscles in a lengthened stretch position. Last point on the context of this scenario is that this was not initially my intention. Originally, when I ran into the issues and the injuries, I just wanted to find a way to train my arms. Over many years, I started to notice some spillover effects. Within the past year, I tried to accentuate and lean in to creating that indirect stimulus on my chest, and this is the result that I've seen, which I'm sharing with you. Now, what is the point of all this? What can you benefit from this? What this shows you is that the role of intensity, consistency, and also exercise execution in terms of mind-muscle connection massively outweigh things like exercise selection and isolating individual muscles with specific movements. That often gets emphasized within the fitness industry, whether it be content online or personal trainers or exercise people, professionals within the industry. If I'm able to stimulate chest growth from a triceps exercise, what you should take from that is that it's probably overkill to analyze 10 different chest exercises and pick apart which one's the best. Any regular pressing or flying chest movement is going to be great for you and lead to growth. The more important factors, which I've leaned into, are the consistency of always going to your sessions and maxing out your intensity while developing good mind-muscle connection. If you do those things, that's proportionally going to lead to way more muscle growth regardless of which exercise you use, regardless of isolating the individual heads of any given muscle. This is massively overstated, and this is what I want you to take from my experience, assuming that you can train properly or in a more thorough or capable way than I can, that's what I would want you to take from it. To look at my experience, seeing that I'm limited, but seeing that I'm able to get growth indirectly in these other areas of my upper body, specifically the chest that I'm highlighting in this video, given I'm maxing out my intensity, my consistency, and my mind-muscle connection or execution of the movement. And the last part that I want to touch on is the question of, well, why then, if it's so evident that these kind of foundational factors are what primarily drives your muscle growth, then why is it emphasized that exercise selection, isolation, a new piece of content that shows these exercises aren't good, these ones are, a new piece of content breaking down all these different exercises and telling you which ones suck and which ones are good? Why is there so much focus on that? And the thing that I pulled away from it upon some reflection is that it's because the audience, you as the viewer, potentially, are looking for an easier way out, an answer, a golden nugget, a trick to get the results of muscle growth. Anybody who's experienced in training for muscle growth and has, made it a significant part of their life and they've developed their physique substantially realizes this, what I'm saying, that this is overkill on the exercise selection. And it's really not that complicated. Just pick some movements you like. If you train hard enough, you're going to grow that muscle and you're going to get indirect stimulus on the other muscles in your upper body. The body is not this mechanical individual need for isolation the way it's portrayed. So people that are super committed and very dialed in, which is a pretty small percentage, it's probably less than 5% of people that go to the gym, which is going to be less than 1% of the general populace in total of all people, including people that don't go to the gym. They realize this, but then the majority, the larger audience that is being sold to is and some of you are in this category. You're vulnerable to looking for easy ways and easy fixes to get the results you want. And content that tells you it's the exercises, it's isolating this, that pulls people in, it's kind of numbing you to the truth of what you should really listen to because you're looking for an easier way to do it. So then you're going to attach to, it's because I'm not doing Smith machine on an incline that my chest isn't growing. It's because I'm not hitting the chest from 3 different angles with 7 different movements that my chest isn't growing. That's the secret piece of information and knowledge that this individual practitioner gave me, and now I'm going to get the results I want. Underlying that is your propensity to be seeking, whether consciously or subconsciously, for an easier way to get the results. So you're vulnerable to information presented that lays out the path in a more appetizing way for you to go, oh, that's why. It's not actually that it's more simple, but I just need to simply be willing to train harder, sacrifice more, and push my limits within my process of a handful of movements. That's a much more difficult thing to sell, and that's not what most people want to hear, whether you think you're committed to the gym or not. Even the kind of average lifter, I believe, is susceptible to this because you're looking for some quick hinted fix to get you to the results you want. And information emphasizing exercise selection is a Trojan horse. It's very disguised as kind of distracted information selling you on a quick fix. It doesn't really seem like it is. It's not a gimmick being like, buy this shake weight and gain 30 pounds of muscle in a month. Like most people can identify, you're just trying to take my money and get me to pay for some bullshit thing. But the information being put out around exercise selection, optimal training, isolating all these individual muscles is in a disguised way selling you on the training programs, the supplements, all the things that are being promoted through this information from any given individual. And from my personal experience, working as a personal trainer in person and online, I've realized that the best way to sell people is to sell them on their results. You're going to gain 20 pounds of muscle and lose 20 pounds of fat. Don't sell them on the process. I would lose clients and not make sales when I would listen to their goals and then start to describe what that process is really going to look like. People don't want to hear the reality of that process because what it would sound like is, okay, you want to gain 20 pounds of muscle in 6 months and you want to lose 20 pounds of fat? Okay, give me 5 things that are important to you in your life, whether it be hanging out with your friends, whether it be spending time with your kids, whether it be putting in extra hours at work, whether it be playing in a softball league, whether it be watching sports. We're going to get rid of all of those because you no longer have time or energy for any of them, because gaining 20 pounds of muscle in 6 months is going to take every ounce of your energy, drive, motivation, and being as a human. Also, you're not going to get to eat any fun, exciting, delicious food anymore. You're going to cut all of it out at all times. No BS, intuitive eating, nothing. We're going completely cold turkey, clean eating, and it's going to be a grind. And it's going to be difficult, and you're going to want to fall off, and you probably will fall off, and you're going to show up here with me 5 times a week, and I'm going to kick your ass, and it's going to hurt and be painful the whole time. And as you go, you're probably not going to see or notice any substantial progress. And it's not going to be as exciting as it is right now, where you're envisioning yourself getting this tremendous recomposition of your body. It's just going to be a slow, slogging grind where you don't even really notice your progress, and you're just battling day in and day out. All right, ready to sign up? People don't want to. The way to sell people and make money is to just sell them on their goals and tell and emphasize and hype up that you could do that. Oh, you can do that. That'll be great. And don't talk about the process at all. That's the brutal truth of how you sell people in the fitness space. And what I'm trying to show is that this fixation on optimal training, exercise selection, isolation of movements is a version of this, where you're selling people on their goals that they're going to get there through this information. And the underlying process underneath is kind of being blanketed over. Okay? And that's why this content is so popular, because there's such a demand for it from the audience that wants the results of the muscle gain in whatever area or however they want their body to look, and a susceptibility to not necessarily wanting to marry yourself with the kind of brutal truth of the process. So if you look at content, for example, just in the digital social media space, the things that get the most attention and the most views is this type of content. Breaking down exercises, breaking down how to isolate your muscles, breaking down how to train optimally in this way. Why is there? It's not that people who are putting this information out are wrong, or it's not that the information is completely wrong, but why is it being emphasized? It's because there's a desire and an appetite for it from the typical viewer. And so what I'm trying to get across to you is that information, although it's not useless, it's not important as the developing your process with simple foundational aspects of intensity, consistency, progressing your training in some way, and developing mind-muscle connection with the movements that you're doing. I think it's really simple as that, and that's what I want you to take from my progress, is that if I can see growth in my chest from arm training exercises because I'm maxing out these factors, and I'm not worrying about isolating the muscles individually to the point that I'm not even doing any direct exercises for the chest, then you as a lifter who can train your chest properly, you don't need to focus on these different exercises. And when you don't see progress, you're going to reach for a piece of information that tells you, it's the rep range that you're in. It's because you're not isolating and not scooping from this lower position to activate your chest more. Deny that. Shut it at the door. That's not the reason. It doesn't mean you can't change your movements up, and some movements are going to target the muscles slightly differently and feel differently, but that's not the missing component. And you're being lulled into thinking that it is. And it ultimately limits the progress that you can make. So the takeaway in all of this kind of philosophical ramble that I'm throwing at you, whether it makes sense or not, is that the need to isolate all your individual muscles and the need to use all these different exercises is overkill. And it takes away from your focus on the factors that actually lead to growth: intensity, consistency, progressing your training, and developing your process with the movement so that you can activate the muscle better. Those kind of 3-4 things are what actually drives growth, and you don't need to. You need to kind of fortify your mind to not get sucked into these kind of disguised distractions selling you on your results with some new piece of information, and that's what's missing to get you there. It's not the truth. The truth is that it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculously hard to do, and you have to make sacrifices and changes in your life and always show up to the gym and push yourself to incredibly demanding and typically uncomfortable levels of intensity. Hope that benefits you to make some gains. If you want to do my arm training, the videos that you've been seeing kind of playing in the background here, you can sign up for my website where I post all of my current arm workouts. I have a number of different arm courses and things like that. I give away most of the information in the videos, but if you want a specific structure where detail by detail, I show you what I'd recommend to you based on where you are in your training journey, whether you're a beginner or an expert or more advanced, the site can be useful for those reasons. Regardless, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Peace.